Hello again, this is Rodney Reynolds with 3dgameman.com, and this is another video review. Remember folks, these videos are completely unedited and these are only my opinions. Today I'll be looking at the KT7-Raid from Abit, the Duron 650, and the FOP38 heatsink and fan. I'm going to fly over now and have a look at the setup actually in the case. So let's swing up. First thing you'll probably hear is the FOP38 fan. This fan actually spins at 7,200 RPM, which is very fast. The normal fans normally spin at around 48 or 42. Going down to the motherboard, the KT7-Raid, you can see that they actually have a fan on the board itself, and of course the heatsink on the chipset. I also have this system loaded with one video card, the Radeon 64 meg VIVO, and 6 other PCI devices. And it's quite stable. It's actually, as a matter of fact, 100% stable. For cooling, I've had to close my case due to the fact that the FOP38 is so loud. It's actually 40 dB, so it's pretty loud. As fans go due to the spin rate. I've had to put a hole in the back here, put an extra fan in there, and also put one in the front. I have this Duron 650 at 900 megahertz, 100% stable. That's with my HSD Mushkin RAM at 148 megahertz, and that's with four-way interleave on. That's also with everything in turbo. So everything in the BIOS is completely maxed out. So I'm very pleased with the results, and certainly in this combo, the heatsink, the Duron, unlocked. So the Duron that I have is completely unlocked. The multiplier I used was 8, and the frontside bus was 12. And the PCI devices were at 36. So very, very good result from a 650 megahertz processor all the way up to 900 megahertz. The temperature using this heatsink and fan was at 40 to 42 C. This is with the case closed. With the case open, it's around 8 C cooler. And at full CPU usage, it's around 47, which is still very acceptable. At maximum prime and SETI going, it's very, very stable. Now the CPU mark was actually around, the CPU 99 mark was around 78. And some of the SciSoft results, the CPU was 2600 nits, the FLOPS was 1291, the multi-CPU, the multimedia CPU benchmark was 3135 and 4317, and the memory was very high at 539 megabytes per second. And 626 megabytes per second. So very, very fast memory stores. As a matter of fact, it's probably twice as fast as my Abit SE6 with the 700 ES933. So indeed a very, very fast system. The combo costs around $500 Canadian, which is still way under an Intel 700 and a Abit or an Asus compatible board with the i15 chipset. So, and the results are very, very close, very, very similar. And I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, was the KT7 compatible with the Radeon? There was some issues with it, but with the new driver sets and the new BIOS from both ATI and Abit, the UL BIOS, this is the one that I'm using for this board, works quite well. So I'm going to swing back now and just sum up this. Something I should mention, I did not try the RAID features on this motherboard for the simple fact I did not have another 30 gig IBM ATA 100 hard drive. However, the ATA 100 scores were on par with my Abit SE6 for motherboard, so they are certainly on par with all the other ones out there. So good results there, certainly. So to sum this up, I would give the FOP38 heat-seeking fan an 8.5 out of 10. It does what it does very well. It keeps the CPU very nice and cool, but it's very loud, very, very loud. At 40 decibels, that's really loud. The motherboard itself, I give it a 9.5 out of 10. This is a fantastic motherboard. Tons and tons of options, especially with the new UL BIOS. So a fantastic motherboard. A little bit on the expensive side. It does not obviously come with video or sound on board, but it does what it does very well. Certainly, to get a 650 Duron at 900 megahertz stable, and you have lots of options. If you don't have fast RAM, you can set your RAM speeds to normal, or not use the interleave options. So it's a good board, and there's all kinds of options for it. Now, with regards to the Duron 650, it's an excellent CPU. If you can get one that's unlocked completely, then you can, of course, modify and change the front side bus as well as the multiplier. And as I mentioned earlier, I have the multiplier at 8 and the front side bus at 112. So very, very good result there. The Duron, I would give it a 10 out of 10 for this particular Duron. Certainly it gets some fantastic results, both in benchmarking and every other aspect. So overall, this has been an excellent, excellent combination. The Duron 650 with the KT7-Raid, as well as the FOP38 heat-sinking fan. Something I should note before closing off this video review is that if you have this combination or very close to it, and the system is locking or rebooting constantly, make sure that you have a IRQ sharing device in PCI slot 5. Also make sure you have high quality RAM if you have the BIOS options for the RAM maxed out. I had the front side bus a little high. I tried to clock it at 920 to 945, and the system every now and then would just reboot. It wouldn't, sometimes after 4 hours, sometimes after 2 hours. So again, check the RAM, lower the settings, and make sure that there's maybe even nothing in PCI slot 5. Okay, again, this is Rodney Reynolds with 3D Game Man, and next week I'll be looking at the Samsung 950p monitor. This is the 19-inch 1600 by 1200 at 75 Hertz monitor. So stay tuned and check back then.